Will Tesla Model 3 outsell the very popular BMW 3 Series? I think we have a glimpse of the future to give us that answer pretty much right now. We're also going to talk about the Consumer Reports fallout, and because it wasn't all bad, and all of that, a little bit of a drama that we talked about yesterday, there was actually something really good that we all, including myself, overlooked. Also, I'm going to answer a comment of the day that has to do with why I don't go live on YouTube anymore. As a matter of fact, I go live on Patreon only, and what happened to the chat, live chat here. We're going to talk about that and a few other things coming up next.
Taking over the world, electrifying the world, people in a track.
If you are watching me live on Patreon, thank you so much for supporting the show. If you're watching me in the replay on YouTube, thank you so much for joining me there as well. Please consider subscribing so you don't miss anything moving forward. Of course, just wanted to mention a couple of guests coming up in the next 2 weeks. Michael Peshke of Automobili Pininfarina and Chad Bolch with Chevy. Both good conversations, I promise, so stay tuned for that. I'm also working on a few others. I will announce them shortly. All right, let's talk about Model 3. And, I made a video a while back when everybody was saying how Model 3 is going to really kick Chevy Bolt's butt, and how it's much better car and everything. And I was saying, hey guys, I really don't think it's a fair comparison. I think where majority of people switching from are going to come from, besides the current Tesla base, are going to be the BMW 3 Series drivers, and I think they're going to really love the Model 3. Well, as you probably remember, in the earnings report, and again, we probably overlooked this over the drama that was going on with the earnings call. But this low resolution chart that you could find in their PDF file already kind of gave us a kind of a glimpse of what their goal of a Tesla is there. As you can see, they're comparing the Model 3 market share with its competition. And it's going up, obviously. The one for BMW is going down. As a matter of fact, it looks like Mercedes is outselling them as far as market share is concerned. So that was something that, kind of made all of us wonder. Now, I've already been kind of pretty set on my, a view on that from a year ago. But now it looks like there's some numbers coming out from California New Car Dealer Association. And this is a screenshot from their PDF. And as you can see, they're in their category. It's called near luxury. And that's where the BMW 3 Series is. As you can see in the first quarter, and this is based on registrations, Tesla Model 3 is on top already in California, because this is a California New Car Dealer Association. Now, the reason this is important is because obviously Model 3 is being sold in California at its full capacity. Most people who are getting this car delivered right now are in California, and obviously BMW, Mercedes, Lexus, and so forth, they're all selling their cars at full capacity here in California as well. So this is a pretty good preview of what's going to happen when Tesla Model 3 is going to be sold around the world. I really do believe that this is going to happen everywhere else. And as a matter of fact, when I say full capacity, it's full output capacity that they have right now, which is not really at its, fullest, obviously. So I think these numbers are going to change as well. So that's something that we really need to keep our eyes on, because I think Model 3 is going to be winning, and it's going to be winning big and very shortly. And then I think, and this is where I think BMW, as excited as I am, and I'm going to have my report from England that I just spent some time with the BMW i team there testing their i8. This is where I'm excited, but a little bit, cautious about how fast they can come to market with their iNext car, which is supposed to be the competitor to Model 3. I wonder if they're going to rush it a little bit, faster if once they see these numbers and realize that they really need to catch up. So, before I move on to the next story about Model 3, just want to remind you guys that this video and this channel is sponsored by Avanex, the aftermarket accessories for Tesla, including some for Model 3 actually. And if you're going to shop there, go ahead and grab a discount code that they graciously gave to you guys, all of us, so we can save a few bucks when we shop there. All right, let's talk about the Consumer Reports. Obviously, it was an interesting couple of days. Consumer Reports reported that Model 3's braking distance was an issue, and Elon Musk replied, which I think quite graciously. It was surprisingly, he admitted that there's a problem and said they're going to be on it, and they're going to do everything to get this done, and they're going to try the software update first. So we're going to see what happens with that. But another thing that kind of got overlooked is that they also mentioned that Model 3 had the longest range that they've ever tested of electric car, including Tesla Model S and Model X, which came up to 350 miles. Now, we know that when EPA was rating Model 3, it looks like Tesla, lobbied it a little bit to lower it so it doesn't out compete the Model S, right? Because at that time, Tesla is trying to make sure that people understand that the Model 3 is not a third and best version of all Tesla cars. It's actually not. And so they're trying to make sure that the range also doesn't give that false sort of impression. But really, when you're testing against another within the same environment, it does look that Model 3 performs better, and it is basically has the longest range of all electric cars. That got missed, but that is true. 350 miles, that's what Consumer Report says. As a matter of fact, their articles, if you read the report, it's pretty fair, and they include a lot of Tesla rebuttals right there in the report. So I think overall it was pretty fair. Let's move on to another thing that I've covered yesterday, and once again, I'm going to use the same graphics, which definitely cuts down on my work day load. But as you know, China is officially cutting the tariffs from 15 to 10, from 25 to 15%. Now, that's as not significantly as I hoped, because when the imported cars here to the United States are taxed at 2.5%. Though one thing I did not mention, because I did not know that, somebody pointed it out a few times in the comment section, is that we here in the United States do tax imports on imported pickup trucks at 25%, obviously protecting our very large market for those, just to be fair. Now, again, I still would have liked, and I still hope it maybe goes lower than 15%. At the same time, obviously, China is going to allow Tesla and other manufacturers with time to set up their own solely owned factories there, which of course will help a lot. Now, Tesla is now dropping prices of their cars in China anywhere from $7,000 to $15,000, and yet, like for example, the cheapest car they're selling with Model S, 75D, I believe is at $75,000 right now here. Well, in China, even with the new pricing, it's going to be $118,000. As you can see, that even if you put a 15% increase on that price, it's nowhere near what the Tesla is pricing it there in China. So the rest comes from, I understand there is still currency conversion and there's some local taxes and so forth, but it does look like Tesla is actually putting a little extra over there on top of their profit. And that's where the increase also comes from, not just the tariff. As a matter of fact, now the tariff is much smaller portion of the profit for Tesla than it used to be. So just so we all understand, Tesla could also cut down on prices. I understand it doesn't want to. I understand it does very well. But just to be fair, tariff is not the only one responsible for such a difference in price when we compare identically the same cars that are being sold here in America and in China. Also, Tesla is gearing up with some staff and some investments in their sales in China as well due to this. Another story coming out of Tesla. Remember how this guy Jim Keller, who was the head of Autopilot, ended up going to the competitor, and Elon said that basically his duty is going to be split between the two other guys, top guys in that sort of Autopilot. What should I say? In departments, I guess. But today they kind of reversed that decision and hired this guy, Stuart Bowers. This is his pictureless profile on LinkedIn. As a matter of fact, as you can see, he's not really taking good care of it because he still says that he's a VP of engineering of Snap. That's where he comes from. I believe before that he worked for Facebook. But nevertheless, he's going to take Jim Keller's place. So another reshuffle, but this is good news. Finally Tesla was able to steal some talent from another company. So that's good news for Tesla. All right, let's move on to the comment of the day. And today we're going to talk about why I don't really stream on YouTube anymore. And this one comes from actually a very regular bromance. Always participated in a live chat and participated in live comments, so I appreciate it. He basically says, I really miss live comments. Well, so do I, but let me just give you a quick history about what happened. I know I already have a separate video about that, but nevertheless, so here's what happened. As you can see, I use pictures and clips of different cars and manufacturers. I talk about their story. I'm protected by fair use law, but also I usually ask permission to use media kits, which also grant permission to use it. I used one from Rimac a few times, but somehow some company got a hold of copyrights and to that video on YouTube. I don't know how YouTube allowed that, and they basically issued the copyright strikes against me, other people using the same video, and even Rimac. So yes, even Remac's own video on their own YouTube channel was taken down, and we were all given strikes. Now since then, we all, I know for sure, me and Rimac have both won our cases, and our strikes were taken back. But that took a few weeks, and the number one thing that YouTube takes away from you when you have a strike against you, they take your ability to go live for 90 days. So I ended up basically not being able to go live for no reason whatsoever. And that gave me two types of thoughts. First of all, wow, I really never want to be in this situation and put you guys, my viewers, in the situation again where you guys are all used to live show on YouTube and it can be taken away from pretty much for no reason whatsoever. And two, I also was always looking to give a value to my Patreons who have been supporting the show. And I thought, well, I should probably kill two birds with one stone. One, I'm going to go ahead and do just replays on YouTube because that they can't take that away. So I can promise that to you guys that, and I repost my live broadcasts there still, as you're watching it right now, within an hour or two. And that way my Patreons can actually watch me live and kind of be first to the content for supporting the show. And the reason it's important to support the show is, as you know, this is still my hobby. I have a full-time job, but this hobby, this channel takes anywhere from 40 to 60 hours per week, in addition to 40 hours that I obviously put into my day job. My goal is to try to go full-time with YouTube by the end of the year, because I really just can't, unless I stop sleeping, I can't do more for you guys, and I really want to. As you know, I've been traveling a lot, covering stories on location, from Tesla semi-truck unveiling event and CES and Milan unveiling of Byton car. I just came from Great Britain covering the BMW event. I might be going to China in a couple of weeks to cover their CES, and I go to VidCon. So there's a lot of traveling, and obviously if I want to do this full time, which means I will give you even better content and more stable content and keep the show independent, I definitely need to be able to be supported. And those people who support me on Patreon, obviously are part of them. And there's just not as many of them right now. Obviously, I just started. And if you want to support the show and help me go full time with this, please, I would love your support. Patreon.com/E4Electric. It's in the description of this video as well. And so I'm definitely and so the reason there is no live chat here, it's you can see that actually the actual chat here. If there was a lot of activities, usually there's only a few comments per show. As that community grows, I will start putting those comments again once they start scrolling a little bit faster. So it's there. I just have to wait until that community grows. I think I have about 55 Patreons right now. It costs anywhere from $1 to $5 to contribute. For $5, you get to watch it live. So that's a quick explanation of what happened and why I'm doing this, and just my ambition to be able to have this as a full-time job and be able to bring you guys a lot more news and a lot of more quality segments. So I hope that makes sense, and thank you so much, Bromance, for asking that question. I was kind of happy to see it, so I can address it once again. All right, that's pretty much it for me. I will see you guys tomorrow at 11 a.m. live, and then about 12 or 1 p.m. Pacific on YouTube. Other than that, see you tomorrow, and remember to stay charged.